Welcome back to another edition of the Night Report podcast. I'm your host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again is my co-host, Richie Schneiderite, and very special guest, Rutgers wrestling superfan and my younger brother, Josh Broadbent. Thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, of course. Big time wrestling season coming up. A lot of home matches this year. It opens this evening, actually, at 7 p.m. Rutgers is doing a tri-match versus Duke and Cal Poly. Cal Poly won the Pac-12 last year. Duke is not known as like a super high-end wrestling program, but it'll be a good test, good season opener. This season, they have some pretty high expectations. Coach Goodell kind of changed his philosophy regarding the transfer portal and just kind of how he structures the rosters. But first, let's talk about last year. What happened last year? What kind of went wrong overall, and why we kind of saw a bit of a down year?
The team was a little bit younger last year. We had some guys that were our veteran guys that maybe were in the lineup the year prior, but they had to take the year off, either the red shirt, get bigger, get healthy, whatever the case is. For the squad we had last year, I wouldn't consider it too much of a down year. Yeah, we didn't have any All-Americans, which we've been getting used to at Rutgers the last few years, especially since Goodell's been there. But yeah, we got a really, really, really solid lineup coming back this year. I think this is going to be the most balanced Rutgers lineup from top to bottom that they probably had since I've been following them. So yeah, really, really excited. They get a lot of guys back. We're bringing in some guys from the portal, which is going to be huge. Because now we got the guys. Rutgers always had great guys up and down their lineup, but there was usually a chink in the armor somewhere where we're going to be giving up bonus points. This team this year, we might not, have a absolutely stellar, great guy at every single weight class, but we have the guys this year with the experience that are going to come in, keep us in those big matches against the top four teams that we hopefully will get one of them this year and get over the hump. But bringing in those guys two guys from Oklahoma and Mitch Moore and Jacob Butler. And then we're bringing in, which I think is the most important piece of the wrestling team this year, which is a heavyweight that can win big matches. We have not had a heavyweight win a match at the national tournament since Billy Smith in 2016. So having Yaroslav come in, he's been a blood round guy. He was 12-1 as a true freshman. He got hurt last year. He was 4-1 before he got hurt, and he was 30-6 the year after that. So for us, Rutgers has never had the top of their weight class be one of their strengths. And I think this year we're really going to see between Soldano, Paz, Yaroslav, and a healthy Jackson Turley, it might be the first time in a long time where the top of the weight is going to be the best on our team.
Yeah, going into this one tonight, 7 p.m. with Duke, and then 10:30, I think it is, against Cal Poly. Yep. I know we might just mention it, Duke, whatever, but Cal Poly's pretty good, right?
Yeah, Cal Poly's got some good guys on their team. They got a guy ranked at 49, a guy ranked at 57. They have a guy ranked at 74, and their heavyweight is ranked. So they're going to get tested tonight. It's going to be great. You've been wrestling all summer. You've been competing internationally. Some guys, you've been, going to hit in the freestyle circuit. Tonight's the night where I think all these guys are really, really ready to compete against someone without a big R in their jersey. They're going to be out there and getting after it tonight. Duke, like you said, typically they might have a couple decent guys. But this year looks like it's going to be one of their down years, a rebuild year for Duke. I'm not really looking for much resistance from Duke tonight, to be honest. I'd be surprised if they won a match. But Cal Poly, we might be the slight underdog in a few of those matchups. I'm really excited to see what Butler can do against Chance Lamar at 149. Butler had a huge win in freestyle this offseason when he took out a returning All-American from Michigan on the freestyle circuit, who was ranked number 1. So he's just coming into his own, and I think him being at Rutgers is really lighting up fuel under these guys that are coming from the transfer portal. So
yeah, let's get into that. So Goody dipped pretty heavily into the transfer portal this offseason. It looks like he's going to have 3 starters that he pulled out of the transfer portal. Let's go through each one. Let's start with Mitch Moore, who's a 141. Tell us a little bit about him.
Yeah, Mitch Moore, he's a 6-year senior. He started his first 2 years at VTech. He's a 4-time qualifier. Last year, he was, one win away from being an All-American and lost in the blood round. This is one of those guys that 6-year senior. He was up at 49 the last 2 years when he was wrestling for Oklahoma, but he's dropping back down to 141 where he originally wrestled in VTech. He's talking about being stronger, faster, feeling healthier, bringing basically all the power from 49, but gaining some speed and agility, hitting that lower weight class. I'm really looking. He's a potential All-American for Rutgers. I think he's finally going to get over the hump at 141. This year, 149, Jacob Butler. He's one of those guys that is going to be the limit the bonus points guys. I really think he's going to come up with some big wins, take out that guy that's going to be top 25 ranked, top 20. But he is, I think, going to have a little bit. He's always struggled against the top guys. But when this team, like I said, in the chink in the armor, he's going to be the guy that might hold, in the past we might get major detect. He's going to hold it to a decision, which is going to be huge this season when it comes to dual meets. Dual meets, limited bonus points with this team and scoring bonus points with our good guys. I really think our dual meet record is going to take might be one of our best dual meet records in a long time this season. And then finishing off at heavyweight, Yaroslav. This dude, he's a Belarus he's from?
Belarusian, yes.
Yeah, so he's been on their international team since like 2018, 2019. He's got a completely different style for heavyweight wrestling, especially in the United States of America. Like, he brings an international style, but he's been in the U.S. wrestling for like 6 years. So he's got a great blend of folk style, his international style, and the dude is a freak for a heavyweight. Like, listening to Goodale talk about him, the way he swims, the way he just is an absolute professional, 6-year senior, doesn't want to live off site, doesn't want to live by himself, is in the dorms with freshmen and sophomores, just fully throwing himself in. Like, he's really just gonna submerge himself just in the wrestling this complete off season, and then during the season, I'm super excited about him. He put on about 10-15 pounds of muscle. He's always been really small for the weight, and he still could compete and not get manhandled by some of these guys that are a full 265. So really looking forward to these transfers coming in.
I want to dive into one of these transfers, and it's not the one you think of, and it's probably not the second one you think of. It's actually Jacob Butler. He intrigues me the most because number one, you watch him on film and all these tweets and social media, and the dude oozes confidence. Number one. Oh, yeah. Number two, his record in college sucks. Like, there's no way around it. It's pretty bad.
Guy.
Yeah. Yep. He's competed at 141 and 149. He didn't wrestle last season, and he's going to 149 this season. And then he just in April, he took out number 1 seed in the U.S. Open, Alec Pantalello. I'm going to pronounce that completely wrong. Who's a 3-time All-American. So realistically, I know you said he might be the chink in armor, but is there a potential chance he could qualify?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Qualify. I think we might have the most qualifiers that we've had in a long time. Like, this team is a team of qualifiers. We might not have that many All-Americans, but up and down the lineup, 25 qualify, 33 qualify. Dylan Shaw, he took that year. He's been wrestling for Puerto Rico's U23 international team, wrestling with Seabass every day. That's going to be getting him better. Like, you go down every single weight. 57 with Andy Clark, making it to the tournament last year. He got 65, Connor O'Neill. That's the one where, he's right on the border every year to making that tournament, getting that at-large bid type guy. But yeah, our whole lineup this year, I would not be surprised if we can qualify every single guy for the national tournament. They might be at-large bids. We're not going to get the automatic maybe from the Big Ten, but this is a team that really, really has a chance to get everyone there. If we stay healthy, we got a good team.
So obviously we've gotten a ton of really good transfer guys to come in this offseason. Let's talk about that 24 recruiting class, because that's shaping up to be one of the best Rutgers has ever gotten. let's just kind of go down the list. What is Rutgers getting in Alex Nini? He's the kid from CBA. He's a New Jersey guy. He's a short conference guy. I
Yep,
believe he won the state title last year.
Yeah, he's a guy that I've been following for a long time. He had, a really nice rivalry with a guy from our high school, Connor Collins, who's now going to be wrestling at the University at Army. But yeah, Alexander Nini, he's been, I think, a 2-time top 8 guy in Jersey so far. He's going into senior year. 138 pounder, I think, is what he's going to be coming in at high school this year. I mean, he's looking at the top of the podium. He really is. He's going to have a couple tough guys. There's a really good kid from Bergen Catholic, again, which is year after year, top of the end, high school guys they're going to see finish top 8. But I really think he's going to have a good year. I wouldn't be surprised to see him finish anywhere below top 4. He's a top 4 type guy. So I'm really excited to see what he can do this year in high school, and then what he can do, over the course of his time at Rutgers.
The next one up, I want to ask you about Ryan Ford, and this is probably the most intriguing one in my opinion. He's listed 141 last year. Then I think the rankings actually have him at 157, and now I think he just wrestled at 175.
Yeah, he was in the Super 32. That's a huge off-season tournament for high school, right? It's the biggest pre-season tournament in the whole country, probably. And he went down there. I think he was the 4th seed. Like you said, wrestled at 141 last year. They wrestled him at 175. So the dude hit a growth spurt over the summer or over the past year. He came on, and he was running through everyone in that tournament. I mean, he had a final where the guy was able to keep it close, but there was never in that tournament where he was ever in trouble, ever from behind. He was constantly just basically manhandling dudes. And that was kind of, to see that, especially a guy moving up that much weight, you don't see that often. You'll see a guy maybe go to compete and put on the strength to, not be the guy to get ragdolled, but to be the dude that is still ragdolling guys. When you're just brand new that weight, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I misspoke on Nini. He came in 3rd place last year, actually. We got a guy that's coming in from California named Andrew Barbosa. We talked about this beforehand. I know you don't know a lot about him, but where's he kind of ranked in the national recruiting rankings?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know too much about this Barbosa either. I do know that he's a multiple-time, I believe, California placer, or at least he's a one-time. He's one of the two. But I mean, if Goodale's looking like just getting a guy from California, interested in East Coast wrestling is big. I think he's more of less, top 25, top 30 in his weight class. But I don't know too much. I gotta dive in a little bit on him.
Next up's a big name, Connor Herrera, number 17 at 165 per Mat Scouts right now. 2-time Penn State champ. The accolades are just one after another for Connor.
Yeah, Connor is a great wrestler. This one's a little tough for me because, like I said, we were supposed to Rutgers was supposed to bring one of my guys from my high school locally, Matt Henrich, in. He decommitted when Rutgers offered Connor Herrera, and now he's going down to Virginia Tech. Well, fate brought those two together this couple weeks ago back at the Super 32. So they both lost in their quarterfinal match, and they wrestled together in the consolation semifinals. Connor Herrera won 4-1. He's going to be huge for Rutgers coming up. I mean, he might be, before the tournament, he was ranked 5th in flow. I think on flow, he's still ranked top 10, but he did lose to a guy from California who was ranked 13th, who also Leo Constantino. But no, Herrera's, man, that guy can wrestle from every position, top, bottom, neutral. If he gets on top of you, I saw him, the kid from my high school never gets routed out. He was an NJ state champ last year, Matt Henrich. When Connor rolled him out for 2 minutes straight, he could not get up, and that was really surprising. So Connor, he might be the guy that I'm most looking forward to in the future for this class. He's going to be the guy that if he keeps going on the trajectory he's going and he dives in, he could be a guy that, has a chance to hit the top of the podium by the time he's gone at Rutgers.
I hate to say it, but it sounds like Rutgers made the right choice.
I'll tell you what, it was tough. I made my brother watch that match, and just to see how close it was. But yeah, it was. I think they made the right decision for sure.
The last guy in the class is Nate Blanchette. He's a guy from Massachusetts. He's listed here at 174, but high school weights, they could go up or down 2 or 3 classes depending on their growth spurts, like we kind of mentioned before. But tell us a little bit about Nate.
Well, I will tell you about that in 1 second. I'm about to plug my phone in before my phone dies on you guys. So give me 1 second, all right? This MacBook doesn't have a charger, so that's why.
No, that's fine. What do you call it? It is interesting though, because this recruiting class, I know we were just talking about before, is just insane. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that they're all pretty much hyped up. They're all ranked, it looks like, too.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's definitely interesting.
We're good. We're good to go, boys. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
It's all right.
It's all good.
So yeah, where were we at?
Yeah, tell us about Nate Blanchette.
Yeah, Nate Blanchette, Massachusetts kid. I think he's ranked 4th in his class. Haven't really watched too much. Haven't seen too much on flow on him. Mm-hmm. But he is top of the ranked in his class. Massachusetts, they bring out some good wrestlers, but normally not too many guys that high. Massachusetts isn't the best of the best when it comes to wrestling. But to see him come out that high, I mean, obviously he's got to have some talent on the national level. And he's definitely shown up on the tournaments that he's went to.
Yeah, so we've talked a lot about the recruiting class. Let's get down to this year's roster, though. Let's kind of go 1 through 10, go through each guy or projected starter. I think basically everybody's locked in. Maybe 65, you got a bit of a toss-up. But starting off, we got at 125, it looks like Dean Peterson. He's a junior. He was a very highly rated guy coming into I guess he started at Princeton, then ended up at Rutgers after, I believe, a semester. So tell us about Dean Peterson.
Yeah, another short conference kid from New Jersey. He went to St. John Vianney High School. He did commit to Princeton, but decommitted and went to Rutgers. He's one of the guys I'm most excited about this year. I mean, potential All-American right off the bat. Blood round guy. I think on flow he's ranked preseason number 6. But yeah, he's going to be a guy that for the next few years is going to be the leader on the lower weights. I mean, he is the guy that came probably out of high school, one of the most top ranked guys from Rutgers. I think he won Who's Number 1 multiple times, which is a big match between the top 2, top 3 ranked wrestlers in the country. And there's a lot of guys that have graduated at 125, like the Spencer Lees of the worlds aren't there anymore. Like the main players at that weight class for a couple years. The Patrick McGee's, who Dean Peterson did get a win over in the tournament last year. So he's a guy I'm very, very excited about, and he's a guy that I do see hitting that top 6 All-American for Rutgers this year. I would be extremely surprised if he does not hit the podium.
Next up, we got 133. I think, again, kind of obvious one. Dylan Shawver, number 16 right now per Intermat.
Yep. Dylan Shawver, I think he redshirted last year too. He wrestled Dean Peterson for that 25 spot, lost in the wrestle-off, so he kind of took the red shirt to get better. He wrestled for Puerto Rico internationally at the U23s. Didn't have the best results, but again, being able to wrestle for a country internationally when maybe you want to get the chance in a country like the U.S. because of the competition, a lot of these guys you're starting to see go wrestle for, the guys that they have there, whether it be, what's that word, Mike? I'm drawing
dual citizenship.
Yeah, dual citizenship. So a lot of these guys are taking advantage of being able to go and compete for their country. So I'm really, really excited for Dylan Shaw. Again, a guy that has the potential. He won a couple matches at the NCAA tournament. He has the potential to take that next step. It's just going to be a matter if he can stay healthy and if he follows through with it.
Next up, 141. I know this has been a bit of a kind of a tumultuous spot in the lineup for a few years now, between Sammy Alvarez not being able to make weight a few times, Joey Oliveri trying to redshirt for 2 years straight. That was the first thing that Goody said in his press conference. He's like, I know you guys are going to laugh at this, but the plan is to redshirt Joey this year. And, they brought in a guy, Mitch Moore. Do you think they're actually going to be able to redshirt Joey Oliveri and get a full year out of a guy like Mitch Moore?
I'll tell you what, I hope so. I hope so, because Joey Oliveri really deserves to get that full year off, because it's got to be hard for a kid where you're being told you're in a redshirt and then you get pulled, and then the same thing happens the following year where you're getting told you're in your redshirt and then you get pulled. So yeah, I think Mitch Moore stepping in is going to be the immediate. I mean, Joey Oliveri, he can compete. We've seen him wrestle top guys. Roman Bravo Young with Penn State, keeping holding him to a decision or a major decision on like a last second takedown. But Mitch Moore is going to be the guy that is going to step in and be the immediate All-American threat. Again, this dude he's had a career of just barely missing out. 4-time NCAA qualifier. I mean, there's not too many guys that will make that and have the possibility to come back as a 6th-year senior to finally get to where you want to be. So I'm really excited for Mitch Moore. I think he's one of the potential guys that will be able to get there, but he's going to help us drastically when it comes to dual meet type seasons too.
And now 149, I know we kind of just talked about it before, but it's probably going to be Jacob Butler, and he's replacing, and correct me if I'm wrong, this was Tony White last year?
Yeah, Tony White, he decided to eat this offseason. He's going up a couple weight classes. So, yeah, Jacob Butler, man, he's a guy that's a veteran. I think his record last year was 14-8. Guy that beats the guys he's supposed to beat, and a guy that unfortunately will keep it close and probably lose to the guys he's supposed to lose to. But he's a guy that is going to keep us bonus points off the board. That's why I think Goodale brought him in. He's a guy that we need that veterans from the portal, especially when we got guys like Joey where we've been trying to redshirt him and we don't really got too many more guys to step into that weight class. Mm-hmm. It's going to be huge for Butler just to come in and bring us that veteran presence, not get overwhelmed. I think he's really excited to wrestle in front of New Jersey fans. I mean, you get any of these kids that transfer, even from these big schools in the Big 12, like it's just a completely different atmosphere. Wrestling in front of Jersey 5,000 fans packed, in Jersey Mike. Is it at the Rack or Jersey Mike's Arena? Jersey Mike's Arena, right?
It depends.
Hey, you can call it whatever you want. Officially, it's Jersey Mike's, but I don't even correct myself when I say it's the Rack.
No. Insert corporate name here.
Yeah, exactly. So 157, we got Andrew Clark. Tell us about Andrew Clark.
Yeah, Andy Clark, 20-17 last year. NCAA qualifier. I believe he won a match or two at that tournament. Ranked, I think, top 25 last year, top 26. He's a guy that's just going to be solid for us. I'm expecting a very, very solid year from him. A little bit of improvement, probably like a 26-10, 25-11 type season. But again, a guy that I don't think he was necessarily looked at to be the guy that would even get 20 wins last year. I think he might have outperformed himself last year. I'm really excited to see what he can do this year.
Where are we at? We're at
65.
We were just talking about him. Tony White, man, ate 20 pounds worth of food Thanksgiving dinner in the middle of July. So we'll just talk about him a little bit and how that weight change is going to actually affect him.
Yeah, Tony White, I guess he wrestled at 49, and over the summer freestyle, he was wrestling 74 kilograms. So he jumped up quite a bit. I know that Goodale was saying he walked around to like 180 to 185. Mm-hmm. So just for a guy that last year was cutting all the way down to 149 and just having to keep his calorie intake probably at a bare minimum to stay within 5 pounds of a cut, I really, really am expecting to see a big jump, because when I was listening to Goodale interviews, he was talking about he's not overpowered. He looks like a 65 pounder, which, I wasn't maybe expecting that, taking 2 jumps in weight class and maybe in the off season being 30, 35 pounds heavier. You're going to be bigger, but yeah, supposedly he's going to be right there. He's not going to have any issue with the the strength and the length at 65 compared to 49.
Next guy, this is kind of where the experience on the roster and the real meat of the roster starts, in my opinion, with Jackson Turley. Jackson Turley was a guy who had a lot of success early on in his career at Rutgers. In 2021, he was an All-American for Rutgers, and he had some injuries. Last year, he came back, and I think he kind of, like a lot of guys probably would admit, that he had a bit of a down year. Tell us a little bit about Jackson Turley, what you expect out of him this year.
I mean, I'm expecting one of two things. A healthy Jackson Turley reminds me of Brian Soldano. The dude is a landmine. Like, you do not want to run into him at the NCAA tournament. Jackson Turley is going to be a guy that can, make that run from that 26 seed like he did as a true freshman. His problem is I don't think he's been able to get healthy for any year since his freshman year.
Yeah.
Something just constantly happens. And just listening to Goodale talk about him in the offseason, he's been able to wrestle more than he ever has in these last 3 years at Rutgers in the offseason. He went to the Olympic Training Center and trained out there for a good part of the summer. So it seems like he is the healthiest he's ever been in a long time, or since, his freshman year at Rutgers. And yeah, man, if he is healthy, he's dangerous. He is dangerous. He's got a dangerous style, man. Just like Soldano, he could be down 6 points, and then the next thing you know, you're on your back getting pinned.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm excited to see Jackson this wrestle.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just kind of segued into the next one. Brian Soldano, NCAA qualifier, placed at Big Ten championships. Hell of a freshman year. Can we expect the same thing, if not a little more?
Yeah, man, I'm thinking what we can expect to see is, he's going to be the same guy, but after listening to Goodale, his whole summer was based on wrestling back to basics. Mm-hmm. We want him to get back, attacking single legs, attacking double legs. Like, don't get me wrong. I think Goodale gave up on trying to change the way he wrestles. He is going to put himself in danger. He's a very, very high risk. He takes a lot of risk. He'll put himself on his back knowing that the guy won't expect him to use his momentum to roll through just to catch him. Mm-hmm. But I'm expecting maybe a little bit more dialed in, toned down, maybe not take as many chances, but at the end of the day, he is who he is, and he is successful of the way he wrestles. So I think he's going to maybe try to tame it a little bit, but he's going to be the same guy. And I'm expecting, 84, 97 heavyweight. We got 3 potential All-Americans right there. So I'm excited for these top heavyweights.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about the next guy because John Poznansky comes in as a freshman, makes it to the NCAA semifinals at 84. He redshirts last season. He was dealing with a lot of really, brutal injuries. He bumps up a weight class. What are you expecting out of John Poznansky this year?
Yeah, I'm expecting stronger, faster Poznansky. The dude squatted 700 pounds in this offseason. Like,
that's wild.
The guy is explosive. He was talking about, like, going up in weight, he's maintained or gained strength, and he's also way more explosive. So I think not cutting down to 84 and, zapping him a little bit, because that happens sometimes with these guys. You want to cut so much to get an advantage, you're putting yourself actually in a disadvantage. But with him, again, mentally and physically, he's healthy. He got pinned by Michigan State guy Cam McCaffrey back like 2 years ago, and I listened to an interview with Goodale, and they said that the reporter asked him, was he ever healthy going into that match? And he was like, he has not really been healthy since, and that's been a long time, Yep. And this whole past year to redshirt, Paz has never been on the sideline. He's always been the number one guy in this team in the lineup, so he's just constantly wrestling. It was probably hard for him, but man, for a guy like him who, if you can't stay healthy a whole year to 18 months for him just to focus on strictly that and mentally, it's going to be huge. And I don't think he's going to be undersized at the weight. I don't think he's going to be weak for the weight. And I really think if he comes in mentally and physically 100%, he is going to be a dangerous guy. We do have Aaron Brooks moving up again, who has just ran 184 pounds since he started wrestling for Penn State at 184. It's always going to be a tough match, but All-American John Poznanski. I can see it this year.
Last but not least, heavyweight. It seems like Rutgers had some heavyweight issues over the past, I don't even know how long at this point. They got a JUCO national champ to come in, and Boone McDermott. He, first year, second year, pretty decent last year.
Yep.
And then it's just like, hey, see you in the portal. And it sounds like he was trying to, like every other college athlete, trying to get some NIL.
Get that money.
Yeah, so he's over in Oregon State now. But they went out in the portal and got the number 6 ranked heavyweight last year. And Yaroslav Slavovsky. I think I got that one. No, got that wrong.
I'm going to go with the way you said that, Richie. But yeah, Yaroslav, Rutgers has not had a guy win a match at the national tournament since 2016 when Billy Smith was our heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
It's been by far the weakest spot in our lineup. Probably the last few years. I mean, don't get me wrong, we've had guys that can go up there and compete, but we've never had a guy that can really get past top 26 ranked in the nation. Like, it's either that or below. But I'll tell you what, this guy Yaroslav, he's coming. He's a Belarusian national team member. He's been competing internationally since like 2018 I think they're U23s, but he brings a style when it comes to the heavyweight division and especially folk style wrestling that not a lot of guys are used to. He's got an international style which is more, tie ups and you're working for shots basically out of the clinch. It's not more open wrestling like freestyle. But since he's came over from Harvard as a transfer this year, 30-6 last year, and the two guys he lost to Trent Hilger 1-0, and he's, I think, preseason number 4 at heavyweight, and then he's got a loss to another guy, Lucas Davidson, old Northwestern guy, transferred to the Michigan, got that money, just like those other guys, and he placed 5th. So the guys that he lost to last year, all top 8 guys. And he's coming in, he's always been small. He's always been one of those guys that, he might be giving up 45 pounds, but he's athletic and he's quicker and he's, he can do things that other guys can't to take advantage of it. But now bringing in 15 pounds of extra, weight and muscle, I think is really going to help him with those guys that he maybe had trouble with last year. Not skills-wise, but skill for skill. If you got 2 guys that are the same and one guy's got 30 pounds, the advantage usually goes to the guy with the weight.
We've gone through the entire roster. We've talked about how we expect basically a roster full, or a lineup full of qualifiers, maybe a handful of All-Americans as well. The record for Rutgers All-Americans in single year is 3. We did that twice in 21 and 22. I'm going to set the line for you here. Over-under All-Americans this year for Rutgers Wrestling at 3.5. Over-under 3.5.
Over. I think this is going to be the year Rutgers has their most All-Americans ever. I think you have, realistically, we have a potential for 5. We got 125, Dean Peterson, Mitch Moore, 141. We have, I'm going to leave Turley off it because I'm not going to be too optimistic. We're going to go Saldano, 84. Poznanski, 197, and Yaroslav. There are 5 guys that potentially could. I probably see more 4, maybe 4, but I really do think that Rutgers is going to hit the most All-Americans that they've ever had because they got just from top to bottom such a well-balanced lineup that they really haven't ever had.
Well, I'm excited. I appreciate you coming on, sharing all your Rutgers wrestling knowledge. We have another pod coming out later today, go over the Ohio State matchup. So don't worry if you get this in your feed first, you're wondering where the game matchup is. That'll be there. But we wanted to give you guys a deep dive on wrestling, and I didn't think there was a better person to do it than Josh. So thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you guys a quick Duke doesn't win any matches tonight. They get swept. And I'm going to say that we win 8-2 or 7-3 against Cal Poly.
Damn,
I think we're gonna have a couple toss up matches. They got a couple ranked guys. Jacob Butler's got a big match against the number 7th ranked guy in the nation tonight, and they got a couple other matches. We got Yaroslav wrestling a ranked guy, so it's gonna be some good wrestling tonight. I'm excited that The season's finally here.
All right, guys.
So.
Well, thanks again to Josh. Thanks for listening. This has been another edition of the Night Report podcast. Signing off.